If you don't believe in conspiracy, then you shouldn't be looking at the Underground Railroad. The New World Order. Auction and Negro sales. $100. 40 years of Negro men. Tuskegee syphilis experiment mission and duty is to make you aware of what's happening in our city, community.
All aboard, come on up Clifton, and beat the drums.
Bam. Preaching the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mention both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both. They were both messengers of truth and reality. And I want to say hi to the people that's looking at this on YouTube and Facebook and other social networks in the United States, Canada, the UK, Asia, Africa, and Europe, and Australia. Okay, but you're looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day on all these search engines. But in Chicago, Central Time, we come on at 10:30 p.m. So you're looking at this, just touch the button and share this video if you like it, okay? So first of all, I want to tell people that are looking at this, if you don't believe in conspiracies, you don't believe in the Tuskegee experiment, you don't believe that the Vietnam, they was forced to war to make money for multi-million dollar corporations. You know what? You shouldn't be looking at this. You really should get the dial and should turn. You should turn to Dancing with the Stars, to the Bulls at a basketball game, because if you don't have an open mind, you're wasting your time. You know, I just want y'all to know that you're wasting your time, and that you shouldn't be wasting your time like that. Okay, so you're looking at the Underground Railroad, and you know what? My guest today, you know, is first I'm gonna say Dr. Lee Warren of PLEM, and I'm gonna have him introduce himself, and then we're gonna come to my mentor. Go ahead, Dr. Lee Warren. Thank you.
Well, first of all, Clint, Clifton, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on your show, and I always like your show and disseminate information, because you're in an information overload. Folks are so overwhelmed by so much information. I don't think they can use critical thinking in this whole process. But again, I want to thank you for coming on the PLEM. I'm the executive director of PLEM. That's the Power, Late, and Man. It comes out every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30.
Okay.
And every Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30 is free show.
Thank you and Ms. Warren. Thank you. And I'm going to tell you what part of it I'm picking up for Dr. Malik. I heard him say one time, if y'all don't like it, turn the channel. But I'm just saying it in a different way.
And I salute you for having the, for being straight up with people. I mean, a lot of times people sit back and they criticize, but you don't have to criticize. All you got to do is just turn the dial. Ain't nobody making you look at it, because people say what they want to say. And I must say, I'm always pleased and honored that you would allow me to be on your show. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Because I know how some of the viewing audience see different hosts and different personalities, and you're right. I mean, if you don't believe in what we're talking about, don't subject yourself to that. And if you're open-minded, who knows, we might learn something, you might learn something. Okay. But either way it go, do what's good for you, because we doing what's good for us.
Yes, sir. And you want to say what time you come on, and Facebook, YouTube?
Right, you can catch us on Facebook, Lincoln Ashford, whatever y'all do with that. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something about Facebook one day. We're gonna do a show on that. I think a lot of people really get caught up in that. YouTube, a lot of people, but I know you've been very effective in being able to use both of those mediums to promote what you do. What I stick with is old school. That's Channel 21 and Channel 19. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of folks don't have cable no more. A lot of folks ain't on Facebook, and a lot of folks ain't got YouTube. So a lot of our people need to face some reality. We're gonna have to start speaking to each other again when we see each other, and communicating and acting like we are still here without the social media.
Yes. And Donald Trump is the new president of the United States of America. And he ran against Hillary. Is he flawed? Some people, I'm not saying that, some people saying he's flawed, and I believe we all flawed, and he's racist. Would you give me your take on that?
Well, I don't know what flawed means, and I don't really know what racism means anymore.
Okay.
Because I really believe that if you use Trump to try to gauge any of that, you truly will get confused. Because Trump has said things and possibly done things, or at least he say he has done things that would make you think that he's a racist and he's flawed. And I had to go with Dr. Warren. I'm just appalled that those two candidates was the best that America had to offer. And for Trump, who started out, I think, playing. And the next thing you know, he's the president. I don't think he believed it himself. Because who would have believed that this country is so bankrupt that all of these laws and check and balances they got to keep people like us in our place allowed that person to become president when you know he's a danger to himself and others? I don't know, man.
Okay. And you know what, Dr. Lee Warren, do you think, what do you think, what is your assessment of what you've seen thus far about, man, I was going to say Obama, I mean Donald Trump?
Well, this is the way I look at it. You have, I'm not saying Donald Trump has the any solution to this whole thing, or it's impossible at this point is to even straighten it out the way this country has been. Things have been stolen, as I say, and corruption has been stolen, and he happens to like was said earlier. That it could be basically a fluke or an accident. He just happens to be along at the time of the movement for this to take place, and a candidate. He'll be more or less like in the civil rights. They took this woman on a bus to set this whole thing, to set it off. She just happened to be there at that time to set off the whole civil rights movement. Other than that, it would have continued. We don't know how long. But we know at some point down the road, it will take something like that, an event, to galvanize a situation. And that basically is what the situation is. Trump was by no means an angel. You know, if you look at his history, you know, he was a slumlord. But America has always been a place where, in order for you to kind of initially make it, you got to do some kind of illegal, you know, if you would say unethical, to kind of get started, because it's a capitalist society. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way the situation is with Trump. But I'll say this: if you listen very closely to what he said, you know, in the situation was that he was going to set up, that he was going to build the infrastructure of this country, and most people didn't catch it. And you know what it really meant was that he's basically started as a WPA program, which Obama mentioned, but it never went anywhere. But that's another story, because the country is in bad need of jobs. It's basically a capitalist society is based on money and an economy. And usually when you have a good economy, crime goes down. In a bad economy, crime goes up. And you look back at when we had the housing boom there for about 5 or 6 years, blacks were doing they were doing a lot of construction and renovation, and you didn't have this crime running so rampant. The biggest problem in the African community is they don't have a economic base.
Wow.
You go through their neighborhood and it looks like a war zone. You go through the various other ethnic neighborhoods, they got somewhat of an economic base. So the situation is that basically we need to examine ourselves, and we have issues that we have to address that nobody else can address. And at least Trump talks about it,
Yes.
You may not like him.
Excuse me, excuse me, Dr. Lee Warren. What I want to ask is, you know what? Once upon a time, blacks, indigenous people used to belong to the Republican Party. I think Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
That's
Do you
correct.
think that Trump will come to the conclusion, damn, it's a lot of people out there of color. I'm going to start embracing blacks and bring them back to the Republican Party. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, he
See,
reached.
things
Okay, go
things
ahead.
really cycles, and I think that's part of the problem. I mean, excuse me, you was a one party. We were one party all the time, and they never addressed various issues. And basically, they destroyed the work ethics of the African American ever since he came up south, and they never developed. They had a low economic base during the 40s and 50s, along with the policy. What the policy people had, they had a lot of business finance. Now the dope business, that's another story. But I mean, they are going to return. Let me say it this way: if Trump say he's going to do what he's going to do in terms of the infrastructure, it's going to be a good boost to the African American community in terms of construction. Remember, the WPA, that's how a lot of blacks got into the labor movement. Bricklaying and all types of arts and stuff. That was a boost to them. The only reason they came to the Democrats, FDR, was there was no jobs. Hoover, the Republicans, didn't get the situation straight. So I think it's a round circle. Now we come back.
Okay.
As the economy is crashing, you know, this is a chance to get trade and everything else going for us.
Okay. And you know what? I want to ask you the same thing, Dr. Malik. Do you think it's a possibility a light bulb might go up in his head and say, damn, it's a lot of blacks out here and people of color. I got to run again. And he might say, I'm going to start to embrace them and I'm really going to start to do something and become more inclusive and get them into the Republican Party. You think that's a possibility?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that in some of his outreach, you know, he said some things that made sense. He went some places. I mean, he's a politician. He's a European, and he didn't just write off. But I think he knew that wouldn't be many Negroes voting Republican, but a few did. And I think that if he actually reaches out and bring about fairness as it relates to jobs and other things in this society, that, you know, people will vote for him if he run again.
He can make America great again.
Well, it all depends on what standard.
Joking,
I mean, and you know, people get all bent out of shape when you say that, but I mean, I understand to a degree what he might mean, because if you live in Chicago, you know damn well it need to be great again, because anytime that violence can be rampant, that we can kill our children, our women, our grandparents, and each other like a bunch of heathens, somebody need to talk about law and order and making something great again, because it wasn't always like this. And we have had a colored in that office for 8 years, and what we saw for Negroes was something other than progress. So I don't see how Trump can do much worse than has been done. And when he asks, what do we have to lose, I feel him on that, because it won't be nothing that we gained in the last 8 years. So we really are at a 0 point anyway. So anything that come about will probably be an upgrade from where we've been in the last 8 years. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear it. I've been saying it for 8 years. We have had 8 years of our own reflection in the mirror, and you didn't cry. All you did is celebrate talking about racism. You celebrated because somebody looked like you. Forget about who looked like you. Figure out who gonna help you do for yourself and kind. That's who I want to vote for. I don't want to hear about no more, I look like you. If Trump can bring jobs to the inner city, if Trump can bring fairness from the police, if Trump can bring law and order in our community, I will salute that. I don't care nothing about him being white and white folks liking him. They supposed to like him. I ain't mad at them white folks that live in the swamp and live in the hills. Why shouldn't they like their own kind? What I'm concerned about is what are we gonna do with our own kind? Didn't want to go too far there.
Oh, it's all good. And like Donald Trump, he has insulted. He has insulted women. He has insulted people with cerebral palsy, saying, I don't remember the answer, and all that. Because a reporter interviewed him, and he said other obnoxious things. Do you think he really wanted to be the president? Some ways, I think he didn't want to be the president.
Well, let me say this to you. I mean, this is something that I think we got to deal with. Back to the media.
He is the president, not though. But
right. I mean, he insulted women. What women? Damn it, 53% of them white women voted for Trump.
Yeah.
So they was not too insulted. He told you some things he did that the so-called uppity, holier-than-thou Negroes said, oh, he shouldn't have done that, da-da-da-da-woo. But the truth of the matter is, they supported him. So if they were not insulted, if they were not offended, what is the problem? I mean, some of us wonder, because we know if any Negro had done any of the things or said any of the things he said, there would have been a legal consequence. But apparently his people are not measuring him by the same standard that we are. So I think what we need to do is just deal with the fact that he has been elected, and on January the 20th, if things don't change, he will be the president. And what we need to do is figure out how to get in a position to get something out of this. Other than talking about all of the other, let's figure out how to be smart enough now to work with what's here and benefit.
Would you agree with that, Dr. Lee Warren?
Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. I mean, from a political standpoint, that's the only thing you can do at this point. I mean, remember that the situation that you have here in Chicago is off the chain. And listen, if it gets any worse, I mean, the economy. Remember, for the 8 years that Obama in, 90% of those jobs are part-time. Those part-time jobs. You can look at the New York Times or Wall Street. They tell you that over 90% of those jobs, 80 or 90% of those jobs are part-time. I know white people working 2 or 3 jobs. Now, these are white people.
Yes.
Now, and you wonder why all the African-American youth are on the corner. You go to the Walgreens, you got grown men working as stock boys.
Right.
So you have a serious problem here with the African-American community going to have to rise up and do something about this situation here in their own neighborhoods. And it may come down, if it gets any worse, it may even have to come down to vigilantes. I mean, this stuff's serious. Because you can't move forward with that type of craziness.
Right.
In your neighborhood. You can't develop any type of economy that's worth anything, and an environment to prosper.
And you know, in terms of there's been something in the news about him repealing Obamacare. And I think that's not really the official name for it. But people call it the Obamacare. That's the health bill that everybody can get. Do you think he should repeal it, try to modify it to make it better? I'll leave it the same.
I think what I've read some things that said what they will do is try to modify it to make it better. I don't think a lot of what he said in the campaign is really what he's going to do now that he's going to the seat. I think they will try to make it better. Even Ms. Clinton has stated that she would be trying to make it better. And I think that, you know, when you got 20 or 30 million people depending on that particular system to have health insurance, it would be useless to just go around and undo it. I mean, what's the point? Just because his name is on it? Please, just understand this. The only thing that's going to be left for Obama's legacy is what you talked about in the beginning. That was killing Gaddafi and the other one. Now, Gaddafi, okay, I think he dead. He won't be coming back.
No.
But Bin Laden, I wouldn't be surprised you don't see Bin Laden walking down State Street or Michigan Avenue as soon as Obama get out of office.
At New York.
You know, you say you did that, I doubt it. So all I'm saying is that it's a disgrace to be sitting here as a Negro and listening to people talk about another white man as president when that's all we've had until this one in the last 8 years for all practical purposes.